Welcome back to Parnell Park. It is the go-ahead Dublin Senior Hurling Championship clash of Cuala and Na Fianna. I'm joined by two-time All-Ireland winner with Cuala, Shane Stapleton. Shane also, of course, of the GAA publication Our Game. Shane, how are you?
I'm good, yeah. Really looking forward to what should be a cracking match here. I mean, obviously Na Fianna, they're still searching for that first county title. They were 9 points up last year against Kilmacrud Crokes in the final, and Ronan Hayes went and did what he did for your club, Crokes, there. But they obviously want to get over that line. Whereas Cuala a couple of years ago were beaten by 6 points by Na Fianna in the group stages, and it was 12 until a couple of late goals that day. So Cuala will feel we've got a point to prove here, and we didn't win the last county title. We want to get back on top. So I think both teams have an awful lot riding on this.
As two countrymen who came out to play for Dublin clubs, we were very quiet on the Shane Walsh thing the last couple of weeks. I noticed that. Cuala are missing an awful lot of players from, we'll say, the All-Ireland winning teams, whereas Na Fianna are actually down a good few lads from what contested the county final last year.
Yeah, I think it's only 8 players who started the county final last year are named to start in this game here. Remains to be seen if there's a couple of changes made, but there's 2 more who are on the bench. That's a huge turnover from last year, and obviously there's a couple of those are enforced by injury. The most, I suppose, eye-catching of those would be the 2 Curry brothers, Sean and Colin, because they're a massive loss. They cause such danger, and obviously Cuala would have to plan for them so much. But that's a hugely changed team. But like you were saying as well, 4 years ago we won the All-Ireland club title, and an awful lot of the leaders of that team are gone. So some of these younger players, they're going to have to make it their team.
Well, for various reasons, Oisin Goff, Paul Schutte, Sean Moore and John Shannon, yourself obviously, and Nicky Kenny, all unavailable for today. Oisin Goff is injured, Paul Schutte is retired, Sean Moran may be back before the season ends. I don't think you'll be making a return to the senior setup anytime soon, so that's a lot of experience to replace. Now, before the game we will have a moment's silence. Mary Dunn from Cuala unfortunately passed away in the last couple of days. Such a vital part of the club, such a big part, Shane, of the club.
Absolutely. Rest in peace, Mary, a really lovely woman.
A round of applause rings around Parnell Park for Mary Dunn. She will be missed by all in Cuala. Cuala come into this game having had a bye in the last round, but won their opening match against Plunkett's 223 to 316. Well, as I was saying before the anthem, Cuala had a bye in the last round, but they won their opening match against Plunkett's 223 to 316. Na Fianna opened with a 320 to 117 win over St Jude's, having had a bye in the first round. Jude's playing Plunkett's as we speak. We'll keep you in touch with that game, but obviously our camera will be on this game. Cuala taking on Na Fianna. Cuala, who've won 8 county titles, the last of which was in 2020, up against Na Fianna, who've yet to capture a senior title, but they came unbelievably close last year and they have been successful at underage grades, and Shane, that does count for something.
Oh, absolutely. Like these players, a lot of these young players will have played against the Cuala lads growing up. They won't be fearing them at all. From Cuala, it's going to be interesting this year. The backroom team consists of Saoirse Bulfin, who people will know with his involvement with Davy Fitz, and JJ Doyle. Similarly, he would have been of Wexford vintage. He's done an awful lot there, also involved with Davy at different stages. But Eddie Brennan was the coach last year. This year it's those couple of lads. They've been involved, and I'm very interested to see how Cuala go, because there's been a couple of indifferent performances. And as Johnny said after the last game, not brilliant against Plunkets, but I'm interested to see if it starts to click today.
Ball in, game on. Sean Stack is our referee. Na Fianna taking on Cuala. Cuala in the red, Na Fianna in the blue and gold. Or are we saying blue and yellow? Well, you know who they are either way. No Conor Callahan for Cuala. Was named in the squad, but isn't part of the matchday squad. His brother Cian is, and he does get the pass away to Colm Cronin, who lets one go and gets it over the crossbar.
Yeah, Cronin, or Crozer as we'd call him, we'd always say he's one of the leading lights. When we're winning All-Irelands, he was a key man, and his battle with Liam Rush will be huge here.
How much did you love saying that when we were winning All-Irelands?
I wish it was present tense.
Tracy goes long. Another man who's represented his county. Malone sweeps it up.
Yeah, interesting as that ball was travelling through the air. Jake was turning and sprinting backwards, not even looking where the ball was, just to get in position, and he got into the right place.
Cronin down the line. It's 2-on-2, but racing out to it is Conor McHugh. That's a very clever ball by McHugh. Sean Baxter. And they run out of pitch. It'll be a line ball to Cuala.
Yeah, overcooked it a little bit, but Sean Baxter's definitely a very good player. He's man-marking David Tracy here. I suppose they expect that Tracy will drift a little bit, but if Tracy doesn't get on top there, Baxter's able to score going in the other direction.
Well, you mentioned that the players that they don't have today, but what about the ones they do? The likes of David Tracy, Colm Cronin, Jake Malone, Darragh O'Connell, to name just three.
Well, certainly on days when Kevin Kerwin has started the game as well. I'm not sure he started ahead of.
Kevin Kerwin pops it forward, continues his run, wanted it back on the overlap, didn't get it. Here's Mark Schutte, who puts it over. Good start for Cuala.
Yeah, when Mark Schutte is fit and in form, he's a very, very hard player to stop, very physical, very strong. But David Tracy's the sort of player that even when Cuala aren't going well, he tends to be the one to step up. And Darragh O'Connell, obviously Cuala will be looking to get him on the ball all day here, because if he gets on the front foot, he can certainly punish you.
I think it might be Sean Tracy who he started for. Sometimes teams make the late changes, and Matthew Oliver comes out of defence. Here's Liam Rush, twice an All-Star. Rush with the diagonal, aiming it for Andrew James Murphy. AJ Murphy, as he's better known. Malone swept it up quite well. Shannon, who's played inter-county hurling for Cavan, wins a free out.
Yeah, he's very good in those little situations of picking up breaks. I thought that was a good cross-field ball from Liam Rush. He knows how a forward wants a ball delivered, having played there himself. But AJ Murphy possibly could have done a little bit more with it.
Would you have any temptation to play Rush in the forwards if you were Na Fianna?
I mean, I would, but they have plenty of good forwards there already. I mean, we've seen really impressive form from Shane Barrett and Donald Burke, who came on that day against Jude's, and obviously he's an inter-county player. That's not the greatest free we'll ever see Sean Brennan hit. But I would be tempted to play him up there, but do you have enough confidence in your backs? And I think having him and Paul O'Dea in that half back line, among others, I think that just gives you a solid back line, and you can't afford to not have a good half back line.
Malone couldn't get it cleanly, trying to take it up as Donald Burke. Here's Paul O'Dea. Played so well in the knockout stages last year for Na Fianna on the run to the final.
It's great work by Tracy.
Shane Barrett stood out as an underage hurler at inter-county level. You can see players putting the hurley in front of their eyes when the ball is dropping. Matthew Oliver, cool as a breeze. Speaking of breeze, it's with Na Fianna in this first half. Liam Rush inside. Here's Paul O'Dea. They're going for that dipping ball into the forward line again.
That's certainly a nice ball in, and Simon Timlin's generally a very good marker.
Tom Gleeson sails it over.
Yeah, such was the quality of the ball in there. That was always going to be very, very difficult to defend, and excellent stuff from Tom Gleeson.
Great work from Tom Gleeson. Finds its way to Cian O'Callaghan. Again, a diagonal ball. Making a break for him is Mark Schutte. He's already got one.
And there's not a whole lot Conor Kelly can do there. That's a lovely ball in from Cian O'Callaghan. He knows what sort of ball a full back line does not want to defend. He gave a lovely one for Mark Schutte, and once it's in his hand, you're as well off saying, knock it over there. Live to fight another day.
His second of the game. Paul O'D has a bit of work to do here. Does it well, he doesn't mind work well. He ran out of pitch there. He was closed down very well by Colm Shannon.
Yeah, Specs getting into work right there. We've got a good matchup here. Shane Barrett's going to be up against Andy Power. Andy Power's a very big physical player, a good man for eating the weights. And Shane Barrett's been in very good form there, so that'll be a key matchup.
Here's David Tracy. Good ball by Tracy. They are outnumbered inside, but somehow it's won by Mark Shute. Shute nonchalantly. Oh, it's wide. I thought he'd put it over, but it is wide. A second wide for Cuala.
Yeah, Mark didn't complain there, so I presume it was wide. Two quality goalkeepers here, both on the Dublin panel, Jonathan Tracy and Sean Brennan, with Alan Nolan stepping away towards the end of the inter-county season there. These two might be vying for the position next year, unless Alan Nolan gets a recall under a new boss.
I was just about to say, I'm not convinced he won't be back. Malone running after it also there is Simon Timlin. Timlin back to Malone.
Yeah, Jake Malone is very deep. He's making sure that there's very little opportunity for Na Fianna to be in behind on their own and get a goal scoring opportunity.
Matthew Oliver absolutely launching it. And unfortunately for him, hitting it wide. Na Fianna's first wide of the game. Matthew Oliver, who played minor for Dublin.
Is a roasting hot day today to be putting snow on the ball? With a delivery like that?
Brennan. O'D tries to get under that, battling for it is Colm Shannon. Colm Shannon hasn't given up the ghost. In to help out for Na Fianna is Martin Quilty. Spills it into the path of Oliver, who moves it to Rush. Rush, who always looks like he has extra time on the ball. There's a lot of green to run into here if he wants to let a shot go. It's Sean Baxter. And Baxter sails it over. That's a really fine score. Scored a goal when these two met in the group stages in 2020.
It's excellent work. The way they moved that ball out after Paul O'D initially broke it down off Colm Shannon. Liam Rush very, very composed, and Sean Baxter, as we said already, he has a score in him.
Na Fianna dropped right off there from the puck out, and it allowed Cuala to drop a man back. That was Malone, who then sent it into the path of Liam Murphy, who couldn't keep it alive. It's a line ball to Na Fianna. One between them, 7 minutes gone.
You mentioned Liam Murphy. He is a live wire in there. If you can get ball in front of him, even if it's coming in at pace, he is the sort of guy who can put up a fair scoreline any day of the week.
Earlier on, Crave Kieran beaten by St Vincent's. Kilmacud Crokes beating St Bridget's. That in the other group. Cuala against Na Fianna live here, and in the other game, Jude's involved, and we'll keep an eye on that one.
Sean Stack reckoned the player receiving the ball wasn't far enough away from the sideline taker, so now David Tracy has a chance to pop this one over the bar, put Cuala 2 points ahead.
David Tracy looking for his first of the game. He generally doesn't have that long a wait to get into the game in a scoring sense, and that wait is over after 7 minutes and 56 seconds. Well, this is the definition of hurling weather, isn't it? A dry sod, a hot day, two teams ready for championship action. Here's Conor McHugh. It's a good bounce. Tom Gleeson, who played under 20 for Dublin this year. Tom Gleeson, while going away from goal, hits it wide. A second wide for Na Fianna.
Well, without the Currys, they're going to need Tom Gleeson to be shooting the lights out, and obviously AJ Murphy too. But I'm just noticing that Sean Tracy's actually playing midfield, so I think it might be Mikey Conroy who's out of the team.
That makes
from
sense.
the starting team, yeah.
O'Connell can't keep it in play. It wasn't a great ball to him, to be fair. O'Connell, the Kerry man who has played for Dublin. Donald Burke played it into a crowd. It was dangerous and they've lost it. Trying to battle back for Paul O'D. Na Fianna come away with the driving on is Diarmuid Clerkin. Clerkin looking for Baxter. Baxter still going. Brennan got in the way, but Baxter didn't give up on it and has a goal. And just as he did when they met in the group stages in 2020, he scored a goal against Cuala.
And just as he did against St. Jude's earlier in the group stages as well, he's a very good player, and when he gets in there you always feel confident he will score them. John Ederton missed a kicked effort from about a yard out in an earlier game against Crave Kieran, but Sean Baxter made no mistake there. But the key thing was winning the ruck ball, and Andy Power had done so well to break it away from Shane Barrett, but Cuala couldn't get the ball. Na Fianna did, and excellently worked from there.
Well, both of these two are senior football clubs as well as senior hurling clubs, so no surprise you see a kick score from one of them. There was a chop down there, it's a free for Cuala.
Yeah, Mark Schutte scored 2, and he's won that free there as well, so he's showing that bit of leadership up there. But a couple of other forwards from the Cuala side are going to have to pitch in as well and get involved in this game. But huge credit to Diarmuid McClurkin there, winning that ball, soloing through and having the presence of mind to pop it over the top. I would imagine that Sean Baxter gave him the call. Now, he didn't get the ball up first time, but he managed to finish it eventually, and that was the main thing. But really well worked.
Tracy taps it over. As you would expect from that angle, we're level again. Conor Kelly almost intercepted. Murphy goes to ground. Referee says it is a free. He was pushed over by Cian O'Callaghan.
Are you going to say I'm a bit biased if I say that was a small bit soft?
No.
That was a small bit soft. But it was well worked out at the back. Na Fianna went short. And there is this thing where you try and drop off a little bit and sort of invite the ball carrier down a lane, but he was allowed to go straight out the middle. Everyone dropped off him, and he was allowed to pick a ball out at his ease. So that's something that when the short puck out goes, then you have to nearly go and go at the ball carrier, but Cuala didn't do it on that occasion.
Donald Burke looking for his first and getting his first, as you would expect. Scored 2-7 in last year's county final. Malone tries to lay it off. There was a foul. It's a free out for Cuala. Tracy's coming back. He fancies this one.
Yeah, he's got a fair strike of a ball. The wind seems to have changed a little bit. It seemed to be very much going against the free taker in this position in the first half, but it perhaps changed a little bit. And as I said in the previous match, it does feel like it's a little bit downhill when you're striking from Tracy's side down towards the golf course end.
Does it have the legs? It doesn't look like it. It will drop. Falling into the path of Mark Schutte, but he was surrounded. He lost it. Na Fianna can't get rid of it. Falls for Kelly. Lovely ball from Kelly onto the runner, and that runner was Martin Quilty. Goes for the diagonal again. What fantastic catch.
Shane Barrett.
Shane Barrett. An easy save, but it was a foul.
Andy Power will be a little bit frustrated there. I mean, that's what he's in there for, to close down Shane Barrett, the big physical threat that he is. Didn't manage it on that occasion. Nice crossfield ball as well that favours the attacking team there that came from Martin Quilty, another former county player as well. So Na Fianna with a good chance to go a couple ahead here.
Shane Barrett, whose garden backs onto Na Fianna.
Right, okay. I
heard Owen O'Donnell say that in the TV coverage of last year's final. Donald Ryan guides it over. Donald Burke.
One of the best ball strikers in Ireland.
He really is.
Yeah, Sean looking for the 1-2. This will be hitting the clouds.
Brennan going long and deep. Hula break to. Breaks kindly for Matthew Oliver. These rucks, such a big part of the modern game. If you can win them, chances are you'll win a match. Going backwards, but keeping possession was Oliver. Kelly. Kelly's tackled hard. It's a free in.
I mean, worryingly from a Cuala point of view, again, the ruck ball, the 50-50 break was won by Na Fianna there. Now, good work to keep the pressure on. That's what Cuala need from the red point of view here. But just the goal came from winning the ruck ball. That one there, that's something that Cuala need to start competing a little bit harder in and make sure that Na Fianna don't start getting that edge there physically.
Tracy lining up for his third of the game. And getting his third of the game. Did you expect any other result?
Absolutely not. And I'd be the first to sneer him if he missed.
He certainly would. Tracy casual to Kelly. Connor Kelly.
Now that's much better work. They sort of sprung a little trap for him.
Tracy inside, got it to Liam Murphy. Liam Murphy doesn't have the distance.
Normally a much better striker than that.
Picking out Quilty. Quilty couldn't make it his. Can Cuala get the score on the turnover? The strike coming from Kevin Kerwin. It's good.
Yeah, quick reflex shot there. Nice score from Kevin Kerwin.
Good wrists. Well, the last game almost went right down to the wire. Expect this one to go down to the wire. Here's Kerwin again.
Huge catch from Andy Power just before that, and after what happened with Barrett winning that free a minute ago, that'll be a huge boost to his confidence.
Shute against fullback Conor McHugh.
That
Conor
looked
McHugh
like Conor McHugh knocked it. Did you not think?
No.
No.
I would like to see it again though. Well, that's the water break. 15 minutes and 24 seconds on the clock. 1-4 for Na Fianna, 7 points for Cuala. And we'll get a look at the highlights of the first half so far in just a moment. Shane, what are you making of the game?
Well, it's a really competitive game. Both teams are pretty tight here. Obviously, there's a couple of injuries, a couple of players missing on either side. We know that the two Currys aren't playing for Na Fianna in this game, and Sean Moran is a bit of a loss, of course, for Cuala as well at the same time. But both teams, there's a little bit of shadow boxing in the first 15 minutes, and it'll be nice to see what happens as the game starts to open up a small bit more. But I'd like to see Sean Tracy get in the game a little bit more. I'd like to see Darragh O'Connell getting into the game a little bit more and get a few more balls into Colm Cronin, because if he turns and runs at Liam Rush, that's where things might open up a small bit for Cuala.
Let's have a look at the highlights of the first half so far. Good long range score, the opener in the game from Colm Cronin. That was measured perfectly by Mark Shute, the first of his two. Na Fianna got off the mark after that.
Yeah, Tom Gleeson, excellent score. And they need to get a couple of more balls into him and into those sort of areas at either flank.
Shute working hard, giving Kelly plenty to think about and getting a second score.
That's Baxter there, and he scored 1-1 out of 4 points, and he's back doing a marking job, so that just shows you the impact he's having. That was beautiful from Dear McClurkin. Yeah, you had to have
there are highlights. Yep, there are highlights after that, but we'll come back to those in a moment because the play has started again. Scarpering back is Cian O'Callaghan. Cian O'Callaghan bumped into there by AJ Murphy.
Good work, and Murphy nearly could have got a free there.
The scramble is on. Who's going to come away with possession? Kicking it away is Martin Quilty, then getting it under control. That's good work from Quilty. Playing it back out was Tom Gleeson, and it's intercepted brilliantly by Colm Cronin. Cronin has a look up. It's 3-on-2 in favour of Na Fianna, but he's going to have to take the chance because he was running out of room. Shute busting himself to try and get there. Looked to me like he came off the stick of Conor McHugh that time.
Yeah, for a finish there, Cronin might have just stopped up, hopped the ball off the ground and gone again. But that sliding on one knee catch he does, that's trademark Colm Cronin. But he needs to run Liam Rush all game. Just see, you know, I mean, Rush has had an awful lot of injuries. Test him out physically as much as possible.
Up into the low of Timlin, gets it back to Malone. Risky enough from Malone, but it's a risk that does work out. Darragh O'Connell. O'Connell making the call while going, has to flick it over the defender. Has he won a free, having collided with Matthew Oliver? Referee says no, and Oliver just kind of pushes Darragh O'Connell over afterwards.
Well, look, I'm glad I said that Murphy should have had a free the other end, because it won't be fully accused of bias, but that was clearly a free. But from Matthew Oliver's point of view, it was like, yeah, ball can go through, maybe man can go through, but the two aren't going through together.
O'D hangs that up in the air.
It's an incredible score.
Fantastic, his first of the game.
But certainly from a Cuala point of view, you'd be a little bit sore there that Darragh O'Connell didn't get a free, but brilliant score nonetheless from Paul O'D.
Plunkett's 5 points, St Jude's 3 points, a latest score from O'Toole Park. That is on in this group. We'll give you table ramifications at the end. It's robbed back by Sean Baxter. He'll have to go for it. He does, and he gets another score. Sean Baxter is having a fine game. He's now on 1-2.
That's an incredible return there. Obviously, Cuala trying to work it out through the hands, doing fine. And then I'm not sure if it was the sun that got caught in Jake Malone's eye, but either way, the touch was awry. And Baxter, he was on the money once more.
And the reason I said he had to go for it was because there was backs getting to him, so he would have been bottled up, so he had to let it go. Maybe just for a second he might have thought of running on and trying to go for goal. Here's Donald Ryan.
And again, Cuala getting turned over a little bit too easily. Kevin Kerwin, obviously, didn't make use of the ball. Now Kilshannon.
Shannon got it away just in time. Timlin sidestepping.
Dermot O'Flynn on the burst.
Good driving run as well. Out to Shannon. Moves it on to David Tracy, looking for a first score from play, which he gets. His fourth of the game.
And initially, when it looked like it was going to be a turnover and maybe a score the other way, Donald Ryan was on the ball. That was very good from Cuala for a finish. Worked it through the hands and, clean strike from David Tracy.
Conor Kelly. Pressurised. Got it inside to Donald Ryan. Donald Ryan, he's so strong. Recycles it backwards to Conor McHugh. Conor McHugh with that jinx. Here's Sean Baxter. Don't let that number 4 fool you. He is very much playing as a shooter, as a scorer in this game. Quilty loses out. Breaks kindly for red rather than yellow. Now it breaks kindly for yellow. Here's Sean Ryan. Looking for Quilty and finding him. Quilty's got a man outside. That's AJ Murphy. It squirts out. It falls for Baxter. He'll go for it again. He won't get it this time. Good block down. Blocking him down was David Tracy.
Crucially, and that has been the matchup from the start, and Tracy will obviously want to take over that matchup at this stage, but Baxter getting in all these right positions all the time. Great opportunity for Cuala here if Liam Murphy can get around him.
Liam Murphy turning and twisting with Kelly. Liam Murphy getting his shot away. It's wide. A third wide from a shooting attempt from Cuala.
Yeah, it just tailed off there. Liam Murphy was Dublin under 20 a couple of years ago. He's got an awful lot of quality, a lot of speed, but I think he needs to pin the ears back and go at his man a little bit more.
Falls kindly for Oliver. Na Fianna go with that diagonal ball again. AJ Murphy battling for it. Shannon does enough. That's a free out for Cuala.
It's not the first break that Kilshannon has won either. That's very good work here. Darragh O'Connell looking for a quick free.
And being a little bit dramatic. It wouldn't be like a Kerry match. Fine hurler.
Now Sean Brennan's had one long free. If he's going to go for a score here, he's going to need to make sure of it. Again, Mark Schutte started the game so well. I'd like to see a little bit more ball go into him. And Donald Burke, it's interestingly, he hasn't really got into the game just yet. Dermot O'Flynn seems to be man marking him at the moment.
That one's got wheels, but it is not going to get there, and Liam Rush gets up in the air.
Just the 10 steps.
There's few better sights in hurling than seeing Liam Rush storming out of defence with the ball. Here's Kelly. He's not bad at it either. Here's O'Dea. O'Dea, well, thought he'd leave it behind, but eventually gathered it.
Did well.
Looking down the line for Donald Burke, yet to score from play. Trying to get away from Dermot O'Flynn. Donald Burke hits a third wide for Na Fianna.
It's a nice use of the ball from Paul O'Dea after the ball was worked out by Na Fianna. Lovely one for Donald Burke to get on. You expect him to score those, and Dermot O'Flynn did all that he needed to do there.
Malone. Back to Brennan. Brennan winds up. It drops kindly. I think that's Liam Murphy who gets his shot away, and Liam Murphy gets his first score of the match.
Yeah, and it might have taken a bit of time for the ball to come in because Sean Brennan and Jake Malone did a bit of a 1-2, but it was pretty evident that Mark Schutte was the man who needed to have the ball delivered to him. He had a bit of space in front of him. He didn't win it initially, but keep hitting it in because at the very least you'll get breaks off it.
Kelly. Here's the call from O'Dea. O'Dea pounced on by Colm Shannon. O'Dea. Donald Ryan stepping around Kerwin. Ryan looking for Burke. The two Donalds combining. An inside run from AJ Murphy, but he lets the shot go anyway, Burke. And he hits it wide. Yeah, fourth wide.
Donald Burke is letting Cuala off the hook a little bit now. Two bad wides by his standards in a row. But there's huge space inside there for Na Fianna to deliver the ball into all the time. Paul O'Dea did it and Donald Ryan did it that time. That's always on.
Andy Power. Power by name, power by nature. He's a big lad. David Tracy tries to squeeze that one over. He had 1 foot on the sideline and he drains that beautifully.
Well, that's great work from Andy Power, running the ball out through the lines and get the ball into Tracy's hand, and generally he'll do that for you.
It's very much Davy, Saoirse, JJ kind of ball, isn't it? Run the ball through the lines, and as you've mentioned, they've all worked together. Here's Liam Rush. Was that a foul? Yes, it's a penalty for Na Fianna. Well, that'll be worth another look. We will do that in a second, but first I think we'll have a look at the strike when it happens.
So obviously a nice long ball in there from Liam Rush, and there shouldn't really have been too much danger because you've got a goalkeeper one side, you've got Jake Malone in front, you've got Diarmuid O'Flynn who's been man-marking Donald Burke the other side of him, and O'Flynn, who normally plays a bit further out the field, often in the half-forward line, maybe just a little bit out of his comfort zone, being in the full back line inside in the square for that one. And we'll see the replay, but maybe a little bit of a clumsy contact there, and obviously the referee has decided that it's a penalty. And no better man than Donald Burke to crack it. Yeah,
well, it would be Burke or Tracy who also takes them. So it's Burke against Brennan. It's a brilliant penalty. Bounced it in front of the keeper, made it tough. Brennan couldn't get to it, and Burke gets his first goal of the game. He's now on 1-2. Na Fianna leading by 2. Na Fianna leading by 2.
Yeah, it's a nice strike, bottom corner, very hard for a goalkeeper to get to, especially that one hop just beforehand, so very comprehensive for a finish.
Well, should it have been a penalty? Shane, what do you think? We'll see it now in a second.
I'll say no now and see if I change my mind after.
Oh, we just saw it there.
Yeah, hard to tell from that one. We'll have another look in a bit, I suppose.
We'll have another look at half-time, perhaps. O'D flicks it on. Chasing after him is Sean Tracy. O'D sweeps it forward. That's a good shoulder by O'Flynn.
That's better. That's a response that you want from Duff, as he's called. Na Fianna are doing a good job of moving the Cuala backs around because, you know, Shane Barrett at times plays in the full forward line, as we saw against St. Jude's. Donald Burke often plays out in the half line. They're all switching around and making Cuala adjust with them.
Andy Power. Darragh O'Connell is involved with Sean Ryan off the ball. That has now ended. Na Fianna have taken it back. Clerkin. Quilty spots Clerkin. Guys at home.
Yeah, excellent score. Quilty just had that little bit presence of mind to give the ball off to Clerkin. He knocked the ball over the bar nicely, and to keep that scoreboard ticking over 2-7 to 10 points now.
That's Clerkin's first of the game. Go up the line is the shout at O'Callaghan. Left it behind, got it back to Malone.
The problem there is that Diarmuid Flynn took a run when he should have been looking to receive it. Ooh.
Quilty, make sure Cuala go no further, granted at the cost of a line ball.
Once or twice bringing the ball out of the back has led to Na Fianna getting turnovers in, and I suppose that's happened the other way too, but that is modern hurling. You can't just blast every ball to the clouds.
Colm Shannon. Andy Power. There was a hand or an arm around the neck. It's a free. Well, Tracy has scored it from further out, so no surprise that he's going to go for this. And no surprise also you can hear players calling for water, any stoppage.
But Cuala need this to steady down after conceding the goal and then the point not so long after it. This would be a fairly key score for Cuala if they can get it.
It is Na Fianna by 3 at the moment, but that has just changed. It's now Na Fianna by 2 because David Tracy has scored his 4th free of the game. He's 6th overall. Kelly. Oliver. O'D wanted it. O'D took it. O'D with the diag. AJ Murphy is the target. Getting the hurley in there with Simon Timlin. AJ Murphy hasn't given up on it, and now it's a free out.
It was another beautiful crossfield ball there, and I think AJ Murphy should have secured possession there. He hasn't fully gotten into the game just yet, and Na Fianna will definitely need more from him.
AJ Murphy, a Leinster under 21 championship winner with Dublin. Here's Conor McHugh. Liam Rush. Baxter wanted it. Rush goes long into the forwards. Darragh O'Connell has read that one perfectly.
That was great work from Conor McHugh just beforehand. He actually broke my hand here 10 years ago. I stuck my hand in too
I
far.
must shake his hand after the game. Liam Murphy looks for the possession, can't take it. It's swept up by Matthew Oliver. You can finish your story now.
Yeah, no, I just stuck the hand in too far trying to block him down. It was my own fault, really.
Tracy. Dropping it was Oliver, or Quilty, I beg your pardon. It's a line ball for Cuala. O'Connell. O'Connell has a go from a long way out. And misses, unfortunately for him. A fourth wide for Cuala from a shooting position.
Now, it was certainly on, he had all the time and space in the world, but I would just be looking to get as much ball as possible into Mark Shuta. The form he's in today, and I know that Conor McHugh is playing well at the same time, but he just looks like there's scores in him and he's going to turn and take on his man.
Shane Barrett receiving some treatment. We'll get a look at that penalty perhaps in a second. Was it or was it not a penalty? It doesn't matter to Donald Burke. He's stuck at home anyway. That's it there.
It's hard to see there being all that much in it.
Because O'Flynn was front to front and had his arm up and ran forward.
Perhaps
if you're a forward, you're going to fall over there, and as a back, you've invited that foul. Does that make sense?
Yeah, if you want to talk about soccer and simulating fouls, yeah, maybe. But I would say, to your credit now, because you're going to go with bias again, if you're not facing the ball when you're contesting a high ball, you need to be facing the high ball. So maybe that's what the referee gave for. If you can, okay.
No, I appreciate I've used soccer terminology there, but it is a part of hurling now as well.
Yeah, it is. Look, players are simulating more than ever before. They're going into tackles, putting their arm up in the air and waiting for the ref to blow the whistle. So,
by the way, I'm not saying he did simulate there. I'm saying the invite was certainly there. Malone, no simulation. That seems to be a good shot. It is a good shot. You can't fake that. Great point.
Yeah, Jake has definitely been one of the leaders the last few years there. Excellent score.
One between them. Na Fianna still leads. That's a good take by John Tierney, who's not long on the pitch. Now it's Liam Rush. And a free for Na Fianna.
Yeah, great work from Liam Rush. I mean, what a player. To be able to bring him in, obviously St. Pat's Palmerstown were struggling to fulfill fixtures. He came in last year, huge part of the team, and being able to build your defence around him is absolutely massive, and he's been having a very good game.
So Donald Burke will go for this. We'll bring you an update from the other game in the group in just a second. Burke, has he found the range? No, he hasn't. It's a fifth wide for Na Fianna, and I can tell you in the other game it's Plunkett's 8 points, St. Jude's 5 points.
Yeah, it's strange. Some days Donald Burke will take the eye out of your head from 100 yards, but some days he has off days. Even remember last year in the quarter-final against St. Jude's that went to extra time. He eventually came off the freeze for Colin Curry, but yeah, he's just having a bit of an off day at the moment in terms of shooting from distance.
David Tracy. Sean Ryan is down at the moment for Na Fianna. Liam Murphy, can he turn on it? Can he get away from Kelly? Murphy pops it off. Here comes the shot. Here comes the point. It's a good one. Well struck by Sean Tracy.
I mean, that's a textbook score there. Crossfield ball in. Liam Murphy, I think he even needed that for his confidence to win the ball and even feed somebody else. And a great finish from Sean Tracy. He's been doing it for a long time.
So the equaliser coming on the stroke of half-time, quite literally the last puck of the half. 13 points, plays 2-7. We're all square. Shane, what have you made of it?
Yeah, I think it's been nip and tuck. Both teams pretty close here throughout. And obviously the goal scoring threat is with Na Fianna. Sean Baxter with a brilliant finish, and what a game he's had so far. Very interesting here to see that Sean Ryan, the big number 14, the Derek Honan looking player for Na Fianna, seems to be injured and getting treatment on his ankle. He seems to be in an awful lot of pain as the physio works over his ankle. If he's not right, obviously that might mean more changes for Na Fianna, who are already down the Curries. But I think from a Cuala point of view, it hasn't been a completely flawless performance in any way, shape or form. Need to feed more ball into Mark Shuta. The likes of Darragh O'Connell, Jake Malone, Colm Cronin need to get into the game that little bit more, and obviously ensure that the right matchups happen here. If Diarmuid O'Flynn is going to be going in full back on Donald Burke, if that's going to happen, then maybe a little switch there to just take Diarmuid out into a position he might be more comfortable in. But I think Na Fianna, they have that goal scoring threat. They'll be playing down the hill in the second half, so it's nip and tuck for the second half, and to be a puck of a ball in it.
Well, let's have a look at some of the highlights of the second half of the first half, if that makes sense, from the water break onwards. Well, this is actually Baxter getting in on goal. What well taken goal it was. He never gave up on that one.
He had a few bites of that cherry, didn't he?
He did. But eventually he swallowed it. Burke tapping over a free as you'd expect. And there's another one.
Yeah, he'll knock those over in his sleep. But it's just strange that he has missed a couple, and especially the ones from play.
Cuala yet to get a goal, but they've scored some nice points.
Yeah, Kevin Kerwin there.
Paulo D with the launcher. What a score this was.
And
from downtown in basketball parlance.
Yeah, and his use of the ball, those crossfield balls from Paulo D, has been very important for Na Fianna.
A driving run from O'Flynn.
Yeah, that's the real positive side of his game, and a nice little feed from Colm Shane in there, and Tracy does what he does.
2 points from play in the first half from Tracy. Just to clarify, David Tracy, his brother Sean has also got one. That was a beautiful score. And that's the penalty. Another look, Shane. Are you any more convinced?
Look, I wouldn't be given one myself, but I know I'd be accused of bias. But either way, great finish.
Just to clarify, Shane is not wearing a Cuala jersey today.
I'm not, no.
Yeah.
But like, get your comments in. Let us know yourself. Use the hashtag there.
Hashtag #GoAheadDSH1.
Yeah, curious to hear your thoughts, because I feel like I'm on the spot here and I should
No,
say it is a penalty.
I get what you're saying. If you in any way defend it, it sounds like it's Cuala bias coming out. And I have to say, it's one of those ones where, because O'Flynn has made it look like a foul or has invited the foul, the player can go down. Again, we don't know, was there enough force for him to go down, but I can understand it being given.
And from the first game that we covered earlier today, St. Vincent's and Crave Kieran, you did comment at one stage that I basically don't want freeze unless there's a funeral.
That's true. That's absolutely true. It's half time here at Parnell Park in the sunshine. Cuala 13 points, Na Fianna 2-7. We'll be back with the second half shortly. Join us then. The second half about to begin here in Parnell Park. It is Cuala against Na Fianna. Cuala 13 points, Na Fianna 2-7 is the latest score. In the other game in the group, it's Plunkett's 10 points, St Jude's 7 points. Plunkett's, who conceded 8 goals against Ballybowden St Enda's, looking for a victory today. And while there's a long way to go, it's looking good at the moment. But then again, Crokes were behind at the break in their game earlier today, and they ended up winning. Just to give you an indication as to the standings in the group, if all stays as it is, Na Fianna would be on 5 points. They'd leapfrog Ballybowden St Enda's, as would Cuala. They'd both be on 5 points if it's a draw, and Plunkett's would go to 2 points and leapfrog St Jude's, who've played 2 and lost 2. It's a bye weekend for Ballybowden, by the way. So here we go for the second half.
Mikey Conroy is in for Cuala at midfield.
Jake Malone riding the gauntlet and getting a free in, and gives it the full Milan fist pump.
Sean Ryan seems to have recovered as well for Na Fianna. He was looked in bother at half time, and he's been picked up by Diarmuid O'Flynn in the full forward line for Na Fianna.
David Tracy comes back to have a go. He's already scored 6, 4 of them from placed balls.
Colm Shannon seems to be the one gone off for Cuala, with Sean Tracy moved up to the half forward line. He was wearing number 10 but had been starting out in midfield.
Tracy with the breeze at his back, a breeze that has somewhat died down. It was never particularly strong. Well, it's like an extra set, isn't it? Tracy guides it over. John O'Tracy. Kelly. Liam Rush. Steps is the call from the Cuala bench. And it's a call that is heated. It's a free in.
Called for
well,
a
it's
throw.
Actually a throw. Yeah, sorry.
And interestingly, I'm just noticing that Mikey Conroy, who's a former Dublin under-20 and minor player and had played midfield. Now, normally I'd see him as a player to play cornerback, maybe halfback, but he's been brought in midfield to maybe clamp down on Sean Baxter. So I'd imagine he'll be stuck to him now.
Well, the throw was something that referees really clamped down on during the league, the National League, earlier in the year. Sean Stack just spotted one here. Has Tracy spotted the posts? Yes, he has. His second of the second half already. And Cuala in front by 2. It's a good start. 2 minutes gone, they lead by 2.
He didn't even take up the frees till about 2015, actually. He was well established as a senior player before he took over them.
John Tierney lost the ball. It was a heavy touch. Here's Tracy. Tracy runs into trouble, but somehow guides it to Killian Shannon. Shannon drops it backward. Baxter couldn't make it stick to the hand. It breaks again to Shannon. Shannon into the path there of Kevin Kerwin. Kevin Kerwin leaves it behind. Colm Cronin trying to take it up, but it is now Donal Ryan. AJ Murphy, he's dropped deep. He'll look for more ball in the second half. Yet to score in the game, AJ Murphy. Ryan. That's a good switch, and it's a really good catch. Trying to twist away is Tom Gleeson. Gleeson hasn't caught that one right, and it's wide.
Simon Timlin did just enough. No sign of Shane Barrett either.
Well, Shane Barrett didn't appear to have an injury.
I think he got treatment early at one stage, maybe briefly, so it would seem a strange one now if he wasn't injured to be taken off.
I wonder, for these two teams, if they have a player who's in any way doubtful, will they rest him or take him off and not risk him? If it's a final, they'd probably keep him on, but you won't risk him in a group game. Oliver, that one's going to drop. It's a one-on-one situation. Cronin is sticking to his man, but his man has it, and that man is Donald Burke. Burke got one shot off, but it was blocked brilliantly by Darragh O'Connell. Gets a second one away. He might miss once, he won't miss twice.
Yeah, high hanging ball in there. I mean, we haven't seen too much of that. Obviously the penalty led to that, and it was the same man, Donald Burke, under it again. Cian O'Callaghan did well to hold him off, and if he's going to be in there, I think Cian O'Callaghan is the man for him. But Burke did very, very well. Even after being blocked down by Darragh O'Connell, he knocked it back over the bar.
Remember, these are two teams who are missing some stellar names, and still they're producing a really entertaining game. One name that isn't missing is Liam Rush. Throw, shout to Na Fianna bench, but it's helped on by Diarmuid Clerkin. Diarmuid Clerkin, who got to a freshers final in colleges hurling this year at DCU. They were beaten by UL. Malone. Is that Kerwin trying to make it his?
It's Mark Shute.
Mark Shute, yeah.
Great work from Conor McHugh, but again, there was a break off that high ball into Mark Shute, so that ball needs to keep coming. As you mentioned, the freshers there, that UL's freshers team with Colin Coughlin and Cathal O'Neill and others. I was part of the UCD freshers team that got well beaten by them in the semi-final. An absolutely incredible outfit.
You were part of the UCD management?
Freshers management, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I thought you were saying you were one of the freshers team.
No, maybe.
Real 21 Jump Street stuff going on there. Here's Donald Burke.
Like Joey and friends, I could be 18.
Donald Burke, what a score that is. That is whack.
Well, in the first half,
Did you get it? That was one of the Joey lines.
Indeed, yeah. In the first half, Donald Burke was missing chances that he'd knock over normally in his sleep, and you wondered, will that continue for the game? The way he started second half, certainly not.
Darragh O'Connell launches this one long. Looking inside for Mark Shute, who couldn't quite make it stick. And it's Oliver who swept it up.
Yeah,
Bit of a loose one back to Tracy, but he's all the time in the world.
I think if that ball is going to travel long to Mark Shute, someone needs to get under quicker for the break. Lee Murphy was coming, but perhaps not quick enough.
Tracy down the line running after it as Baxter, but O'Connell intercepts. O'Connell gets himself out of trouble really well there. So cool on the ball. Here's Andy Power. It's 2-on-1 in favour of Na Fianna. But the one is Mark Shute, and he doesn't give up on it, and he wins the possession. That's incredible stuff from Mark Shute. Can he recycle it? Well, it's intercepted.
Help wasn't on hand. Help wasn't on hand. And
should Kerwin have been closer?
A little bit closer. Somebody should have been.
Quilty inside. Liam Rush. Again, they go with the diagonal, rushing out to try and get there is Tom Gleeson. I beg your pardon, that's Burke. Burke loses out and drops it over the line.
We're probably going to see plenty of balls going in between Donald Burke and Cian O'Callaghan. Will be relishing that battle. Darragh O'Connell is the spare man back now for Cuala, and I've seen him do it in other games where he takes over. If enough a ball, is sent awry up the field by the opposition, he can certainly dominate. So that'll be something that Cuala will be hoping transpires.
Simon Timlin standing over the line ball. AJ Murphy drifts one in behind. It's a beautiful one to Tom Gleeson. Gleeson with Malone stuck to him. Gleeson, it just about makes it. He's second of the game.
Yeah, that was very, very close there. And I was just going to say, AJ Murphy needs to get himself into this game. That was a beautiful ball over the top for Gleeson, and a nice score.
An absolutely beautiful score. Well, Na Fianna's big breakthrough came in 2012 when they won the Dublin Minor Championship. They've been building ever since. Got to the senior final last year. Could have won it, but unfortunately for them, Kilmacud Crokes pegged the back at the end. That's another throw.
It's the second time Liam Rush has been pinged for that. Great work from Colm Cronin there.
Na Fianna won 4 minor titles in a row at one stage from 2014 to 2017, and 3 Dublin under 21 championships in a row from 2016 to 2018. They have a lot of talent coming through.
It has been a bit of a surprise that they haven't claimed a senior county title at this stage, and obviously they've been getting closer and closer, and maybe this is their year. Last year, of course, should have been, but they're certainly not all that far away, even though, as we were saying at the outset, only 8 of the team that started the county final last year started this game today.
Sean Ryan is going off for Na Fianna as David Tracy taps it over. So that's all square again. Clerkin. Baxter. Baxter completely mishits that one.
Well, Cuala are doing a good job now of frustrating Na Fianna as they try and work it out short, because we've had a couple of balls that have been thrown by Liam Rush, and obviously that one there knocked out over the sideline, so that's encouraging from a Cuala point of view.
Plunkett's 13 points, St Jude's 9 points, the latest score from O'Toole Park. Running onto this one is Liam Murphy. Murphy needs support, he has it outside. Keeps it himself though and has a go himself. Liam Murphy. That's a fine point from Liam Murphy. He's second of the game.
Yeah, excellent score there. Quick ball, quick sideline ball, but David Tracy. Matthew Oliver was stuck to Liam Murphy, but he did very well. His confidence might be up now, his dander might be up, and that's definitely positive for Cuala. Great movement for the Na Fianna puck out.
Making his way forward now is Peter Feeney. AJ Murphy. Or beg your pardon, that's Martin Quilty. Back to Feeney, who has a go. Tierney pops it over. Good score from Tierney.
Really nice score there after Peter Feeney initially got out for the puck out. Martin Quilty with the work to recycle it, and a really good score there in an instant response.
That's a good turn from Andy Power.
It was a tricky one, wasn't it?
Power looking inside for Liam Murphy. Murphy can't make it his.
Yeah, just that ball, he undone his good work there. That just never gave a chance to Liam Murphy.
Here's Liam Rush. He has an awful lot of space, Liam Rush.
And huge space inside, one-on-one within 40 or 50 yards. That's tough for Simon Timlin against Tom Gleeson, but does really, really well.
Fantastic work from Timlin. Killian Shannon helped it on. Colm Cronin trying to get away from Quilty. It's a free. Advantage played for a few seconds, and now the free will be struck. And it's David Tracy, and he'll go for it.
There's always that huge space in that forward line from Na Fianna, and that was a lovely ball played in by Liam Rush there, and Gleeson obviously should have made more of that. And even before that, we've seen Donald Burke getting the ball out and spilling it out over the sideline. They need to be making more use of that.
David Tracy from out the country.
See, it's economical scoring. David Tracy must have 5 or 6 frees scored at this stage. Every time the opportunity is offered, he's saying thank you very much.
4 in the second half alone, and 4 in the first half, 2 from play as well. The usual Tracy service.
And again, the Na Fianna short puck out. It's going right. Tracy with the hand pass out the back door there. That was excellent.
You sound surprised. It's robbed back by Diarmuid Clerkin. Clerkin driving on, trying to get away from Sean Tracy. Malone. There's a bit of a foot race here. Very much the favourite is Kevin Kerwin. Kerwin taking on his man. Kerwin. Well, it was good work, in fairness, from Donal Ryan, just to crowd him out and make sure he didn't get a free strike.
Yeah, I think Kevin should have delivered the ball into. There was a couple of lads looking for it, Liam Murphy and Mark Schutte, and it would have made more sense to just drop it in. Again,
Donal Ryan lost it.
Cronin again, the man. He's the common denominator to a lot of good things for Cuala.
One between them. It breaks kindly for Mark Schutte. Malone runs onto it. Malone from a long way out. Drops into the hand of John O'Tracy. There's a little tangle inside. Liam Murphy goes to ground.
No penalty there, I notice.
I knew you couldn't let that one go. They mightn't need one. David Tracy has it here. Murphy's inside. Tracy takes it on himself. And misses.
There's only a point in it, but Na Fianna, it feels like they're struggling to score a little bit. I've mentioned a couple of balls going inside. Simon Timlin turning over Tom Gleeson. Donald Burke knocking another one out over the sideline. A couple of turnovers here when they're trying to work ball out from the back. So Na Fianna are reeling a little bit. I think they need to get another score or two on the board. Obviously need to get more ball into Donald Burke's hand. Doesn't help them that they're missing so many players, and Shane Barrett having to step out as well, and also Sean Ryan, who had started full forward. He obviously wasn't 100% there. But Na Fianna need to get the likes of AJ Murphy into the game as well. He hasn't had his biggest game. And the other thing is that Sean Baxter has gone out of the game. Mikey Conroy has come in and obviously been told to stick to him like white on rice, and he's done that so far. But can Baxter get back into it?
And you can see O'Flynn is going everywhere that AJ Murphy is going.
And that's what you want to. I mean, as a back, if you're on top of a guy, if he changes position, you want to go with him because you want him to be absolutely sick of the sight here. And Diarmuid Flynn obviously gave away that penalty in the first half, and the head might drop, but obviously it hasn't, and he needs to keep this going. But look, AJ Murphy set up a nice score a while ago. Maybe he can get himself into the game too.
We'll resume with John O'Tracy's puck out. That was the Cuala management team. Happy with the work rate, I'm sure. Tierney keeps it alive just about. He's pounced upon there by Andy Power. Quilty does brilliantly. Misguides his pass towards Hugh Fenlon. Collecting it is Liam Rush. Rush storming out and winning a free.
Yeah, Na Fianna, they're making hard work of it again. I mean, there was a ball over there at the sideline. John Tierney had it, slipped over, misplaced hand pass then, and created a bit of hard work for Liam Rush to sort out. It's just not flowing for them at the moment. Now, at the same time, Donald Burke could knock this over the bar and we could have a level game, but it just feels like there's a little bit more in Na Fianna, or maybe a couple of those absences are sort of being felt out there just now.
Well, one man who is there still is Donald Burke, and he's well capable of scoring from here. This to level it up. Cuala might be finding scores easier to come by, but ultimately they are only one in front coming up to the water break.
But there's certainly the danger in there. Well, it's a level game now, but there's certainly that danger in there. As I said, there's huge space in there, and a couple of times the ball's been delivered in. It hasn't always been, taken advantage of, but it is there, and it probably will be there once or twice more before the end of the game. If they get a goal, you just don't know.
In this heat, I wonder as well, it's possibly not just about getting water on board. In this heat, it's actually great just to stop for a minute, I imagine.
Oh yeah, the last couple of years when I've been playing and the water break's been in there, it's been a godsend, because you want to take that little bit of a break. I think we've some replay clips coming up here.
Yep, let's have a look at the best of it so far from the second half.
It'll be largely a free-taking exhibition from David Tracy on the Cuala side.
He won't mind that at all, will he?
No.
Featuring in the highlights.
There you see there's that space when the ball's been delivered in, and Donald Burke does brilliantly here to score the second time of asking, but it's just that there's possibly just a little bit too much space back there, which creates an opportunity for Na Fianna. This is wonderful. Great
stuff from Burke again, despite the attentions of Cian O'Callaghan. Sometimes as a back there's not much you can do, only your best, and you can't stop the top guy scoring. That's what happened there. That wasn't bad either from Gleeson. Here's Tracy with another free.
I mean, this will be a slight concern for Cuala, that it is largely frees, but of course Lee Murphy gets one a little bit later on. Donald Burke, interestingly, was played wing forward and spent a lot of time in his own half playing for Dublin this year. We're seeing the benefit of playing him inside as well, so maybe that's something that whoever the new Dublin manager is going to be next year will look at. And of course, have you ever seen it as quiet in terms of talking about next manager for Dublin?
No. Still some good candidates out there, but we will concentrate on what we're seeing in front of us here.
Well, your own Waterford have taken Davy Fitz out of the equation, so it certainly won't be him.
That's true. Brennan. Rush. Slips. Takes on his man. His man is Colm Cronin. Gets a pass away. It was loose enough, but it was bravely won by Matthew Oliver. Cronin stuck to Burke as always. Burke not giving up on it.
Yeah, I'd say O'Callaghan and Burke have marked each other year after year, in especially Dublin training the last couple of years as well.
I'd say they know each other incredibly well. 117 for Plunkett's, St. Jude's 12 points. So Plunkett's are opening up a bit of a lead there. And now we've got a free in for Na Fianna.
And Plunkett's form is pretty good. They only narrowly lost to Cuala, and St. Jude's had put in a good showing against Na Fianna for long spells. So great stuff from Plunkett so far.
Yeah, when it went south, it went really south in the second half against Ballyboden, but that wasn't the real Plunkett's, if that makes sense.
No, 8 goals. I mean,
yeah, it's a freak. It's a freak. Not that Ballyboden weren't good, they were, of course. Here's Donald Burke.
Well, they're the sort of team that when they're on top, they really do fill it teams. We've seen them beat teams by 40 points in the past.
It's a good score from Burke. Na Fianna in front by 1. O'Callaghan. Not the cleanest of strikes. It might still work out. Tracy. Outside, running onto it, Emmett Murphy. Murphy's going to take them on here. Murphy's still going.
Should have taken the point.
Shannon couldn't quite soak it up, and Tracy gets it away.
And Emmett Murphy's an excellent ball striker. I'm surprised. And even Tracy before that, he could have just taken it himself. Chance to level the game, and now Na Fianna are on the ball.
Quilty. Quilty goes long and direct. It's 3-on-2 in favour of Cuala though. Cronin sweeps it away. AJ Murphy battling for it. He loses out.
Good stuff, Andy
Tracy,
Power.
he has time here. Surely he'll go for it. It's wide.
Look, earlier in the day we talked about St. Vincent's left a huge amount of scoring chances behind them before eventually pulling away, and Cuala are now allowing St. Vincent or Na Fianna to get in a good position here by missing chances, and easy chances too.
A busy weekend of hurling around Dublin at all levels. Obviously, primarily we're keeping an eye on the Senior 1 games going on today, but you can get all the results through the Dublin GA website and indeed the social media channels across the evening and across tomorrow as well. Remember, you can join the conversation on social media as well as Cuala win a free out, which Tracy will go for goal from. Just hashtag #GoAheadDSH1. We'd love to hear from you.
Good work there from Diarmuid O'Flynn to win that ruck ball and then to obviously get the free as well. AJ Murphy pulling him down, and that's a couple of long balls that Na Fianna have delivered that Cuala have been able to mop up. Of course, just for Cuala, the idea is just putting the finishing touches on some of these moves. I know that Na Fianna are going to get a couple of more scores, but Cuala also need to keep that scoreboard ticking.
Killian Shane in his office. Tracy launches this one, looking to make it a level game, and he's done it.
And I was just going to say Niall Carty might be the man to bring in here. He's an awful lot of pace, very direct runner, and he can score, so he's into the game at midfield at the moment, it looks like.
Tracy. Was that a trip up on John Tierney? The referee says yes.
Yeah, Tierney's been doing okay. He's been getting on a couple of balls. He broke a puck out a little while ago there, and I think Andy Power overcommitted, so it certainly was a free.
He's one of those guys, he's really hard to handle because he's big and he can move.
Well, himself against Andy Power, that's two big ignorant jokes up against each other, so
that's Godzilla against Mothra kind of stuff.
But certainly both teams have had to dig into the bench, and we said it earlier with Crave against St. Vincent's, you're going to have to do that to win this county title this year. You know, both teams are down players. The two Currys aren't there at one side. For Cuala, you don't have Con O'Callaghan and Sean Moore. You need that strong panel.
Burke nudges Na Fianna back in front. "10 minutes to go on a baking hot day. Really testing conditions for the players. Would you rather play in very hot conditions or very cold conditions?"
Very cold conditions, because I reckon that other players don't fancy it.
Darragh O'Connell.
The hot conditions mightn't suit me.
It's a good crossfield ball. It's well taken by Mark Schutte. Hasn't scored in the second half yet. He's lost his hurley, but we know he can play football. But he can pass as well to Liam Murphy. The shot is blocked. I think it was Conor Kelly who threw himself in the way of it. The chance not gone. Cuala trying to get it back. Na Fianna have it. Kelly again. Kelly away. That was heroic from the cornerback.
Yeah, it was good work from Conor McHugh initially, and I wonder did he hold on to the hurley, because obviously Mark Schutte dropped it, and then it looked like a combination, maybe Conor Kelly and Conor McHugh stopped that goal attempt from Liam Murphy. Thought he might just run at the man instead of taking the shot on, but that's great work from Na Fianna to ensure that the leveller wasn't scored. Now David Tracy's popped him over from the sideline before. Shouldn't have given him the big billing, should I?
No. They might still get something from this attack, Cuala. They're looking for the equaliser or a goal to put them in front. They have a free. It will be the equaliser.
Well, that's the upside of Niall Carty. He'll run at you all day. He's a very dynamic runner, and certainly in the last 10 minutes of the game, as other lads are getting tired, he really should be able to step up to that next level. We've Saoirse Bulfin underneath us here, just telling Jake Malone to sit back a little bit and not get dragged too far up the field, because there is nothing but space behind, and Simon Timlin up against Tom Gleeson there, so if good ball goes in, that's very difficult for the back.
That's a yellow card for Liam Rush. Tracy with the free. He'd pop this one over with his eyes closed. Remember, the game can end in a draw because it is in the round robin series at the moment. It's done on a league basis, basically. 2 groups of 5.
And exciting, because you are going to see big teams go out.
Yes. Tracy has already scored 6 from frees in the second half. That adds to the 4 from frees and 2 from play he got in the first half. Here's John O'Tracy looking for AJ Murphy, who does take it as he foul. Referee says no. He's trying to get away from O'Flynn. That'll be a clash ball.
They're like hens around a turnip.
You played for Cuala, but they didn't gentrify you, did they? No. They didn't knock any of those Tipperary, Borrisilly edges off.
No, but they enjoy it. They enjoy the nonsense.
Here's Liam Murphy trying to take on Kelly. Kelly
work
stands
from Kelly.
very strong. Murphy's forced out wide. Did stay composed under pressure though. Here's Sean Tracy. One in the first half. None so far in the second half.
And that was great work from Liam Murphy there. I'm surprised Sean and Tracy didn't knock it over. He's normally very accurate.
Na Fianna are making a change. Coming in is Fergal Brannock. A very busy and hard-working player. And I think going off is Dermot Clerkin. No, I beg your pardon, it's Kelly, yeah. Well, he's walking kind of gingerly, so I imagine that's an injury. He was having a fine game, so I don't think this is by choice.
So who picks up Liam Murphy now? Because Liam Murphy does like to run at his man, and it's a sort of a bigger man who's on him now rather than the low centre gravity of Kelly, so we'll see how that goes.
All square, 7 to go. Here's Quilty. Wide.
Great work to get the ball out of the ruck, but then unfortunately on his right hand side snatched at it a little bit.
This game is heating up. The championship is heating up. That's a fantastic catch. Wonderful stuff from Emmett Murphy.
He had Colin Cronin free inside him. Oh, unbelievable catch from Shute.
Shute! Great save. Murphy, goal!
Yeah.
Murphy reacted well to the rebound off the stick of the goalkeeper and finds the goal.
Emmett Murphy, maybe he should have knocked the ball short to Cronin, but that sometimes just shows you the value of getting the ball into the box. Mark Shute keeps saying it, get the ball into him. His shot was blocked brilliantly by Tracy, but what a follow-up by Liam Murphy there. Obviously his marker has just gone off, and maybe that tight marking wasn't there on that occasion.
So now 3 between them. Have Na Fianna got an answer? Maybe not, but they do have a free.
Clumsy from Cian O'Callaghan there. He probably was hoping to get away with that, but as soon as Burke felt the contact, he went over a certain free. Yeah, it's Hugh Fenlon who's taken over the marking duties on Liam Murphy there, and you know, difficult. Obviously, he's come in, he's been in the half-back line, he's thrown into the full-back line there on that occasion, and sometimes you can't account for it. A ball just saved brilliantly by the keeper. It can spill off in any direction, so it's certainly nothing to do with Hugh really, but really quick thinking by and reactions from Liam Murphy.
Donald Burke to reduce the gap to 2. AJ Murphy is jogging forward here. I wonder will he sneak it to him? No, he won't. I saw it in the Carlow semi-final a couple of weeks ago. St Mullins involved against Owen Larkin's Ballinkillen. Did a 20-metre free just outside the D, and everyone thought he'd just pop it over, but actually he just moved it inside to a man who was running onto it, and he smashed it home for a goal. They weren't tempted to do that particular set piece there, Na Fianna and Donald Burke.
Yeah, plenty of time left, 4.5 minutes plus injury. High
Is
ball
that going to
Mark
drop?
Shute
It
again.
will drop inside the square. Shute went for it but couldn't make it his.
Couldn't get the go-go gadget arms onto it this time. But certainly in the air, he's a huge threat.
Tracy. Patience is key. Here's Baxter. Lets it slip away. Conroy takes it. Baxter gets it back. Rush. So strong. Another throw ball.
It's for a third time. Like, he goes into contact an awful lot, gets kind of held up. You see that plenty of times with him. Often he bursts away, but it's the third time that he's been done for a throw. And again, it was Michael Conroy who spilled the ball away from Sean Baxter initially, and that matchup has really worked for Cuala in the second half, because obviously Baxter was going to town 1-2 in the first half.
Yeah. Well, it's something that Liam Rush does really well. Gets the ball out of contact, but on was it 3 occasions you said in the second half he's been pinged for throwing the ball.
But that again just shows good work rate from the Cuala forwards here, that they're not just allowing Na Fianna out. In the first half, Rush was spraying good ball up the field, so was Paul O'D. None of that is happening in the second half, so that's very much to Cuala's credit. Obviously not out of the woods yet here. Na Fianna do have scoring threats all over the field.
And here's one of them, Tracy. And it's a 3-point game again. It's looking good for Cuala. 2:15, that's 21. 1:21, that's 24. Tracy. It's well swept up. Malone calling for it on the near side as we look is Niall Carty. Conor O'Callaghan was named in the squad today, but he hasn't togged out.
There's an injury for Cuala on the far side.
Big players on both sides missing today. That was well juggled by Timlin, who moved it on. Niall Carty loves to run, can shoot. And that's a fantastic score. 4 between them. I'm not sure if you'd say it's the insurance score yet, but It's looking good.
And of course, Paul O'D is another player who had to go off earlier as well. So when you talk about the two Currys not being there, Shane Barrett had to go off, Paul O'D had to go off. Assuming that these players, some of them are at least are going to be available for the remaining group games, I don't think that even if Na Fianna lose this game, there'll be all that kind of concern and think, oh, we're out of contention all of a sudden. They're up against a strong team. They're down an awful lot of players here. They can come back and go again. But again, look, there's time here and they could yet see this one out.
We'll try to bring you an update from Plunkett's and Jude's shortly. Plunkett's were 8 in front when last we heard. Cuala with a man down. And that man is Andy Power. That doesn't look particularly healthy, does it?
No.
He would play on one leg. He's that kind of guy.
He's a hardy bit of stuff now. Yeah, he seems to be an awful bother.
Well, let's hope he's okay, not just for today, but for the rest of the championship.
Yeah, Colm O'Farrell Chicker is in for him.
An interesting story with him. He was away for years. He played underage for Dublin, but then was away for years and came back and all of a sudden found himself back in the first team at Cuala.
Yeah.
Ball breaks here. Breaks kindly for Tracy. Gets away from Clerkin. Moves it on. Conroy. Back outside. Cronin. O'Callaghan, I beg your pardon. Oh, fumbled by the goalkeeper to 65. It could have been worse.
But that was well worked. Mike Conroy did the right thing, handed the ball out to Cian O'Callaghan, and of course he's the full back, but he's still working his way up the field to get on the end of a ball. So I'd say Jonathan Tracy would be pretty disappointed with his handling there, because Na Fianna need to be getting the ball back up the other way and scoring rather than offering opportunities for David Tracy to split the posts.
Plunkett's 217, St Jude's 14 points. That one running concurrently in O'Toole Park. All the scores from every other game across Dublin available on the website in the next couple of hours. Tracy floats it over. Cuala running away from Na Fianna, who've been hit badly with injuries today, and obviously missing the Currys as well. So that was a big blow right from the start. They surge out of defence. They need goals. This is Conor McHugh. Turning on it there is Dermot Clerkin. Moves it on. Peter Feeney. AJ Murphy. Murphy. Good hand pass. Tom Gleeson. That's why. Good pressure. O'Flynn just cut down the space.
Yeah, it's a desperate miss, and he had Sean Baxter outside him. Murphy could have nearly taken the score on himself, but that's a huge let-off for Cuala.
26 points, plays 21. They needed a goal there, I think it's fair to say. AJ Murphy's been brought off. And in for Na Fianna is Aaron Jessen. Intercepted. Is there half a chance here? Jessen, they're trying to work a goal because they know they need one. It's Donald Burke. And that's brilliant work by O'Callaghan. Cuala got the numbers back, got the ball, and now it's Darragh O'Connell.
It was a good idea by Jessen. They do need the goal, and Donald Burke's a little bit unfortunate not to get a free there.
Left behind by Shute. Oliver, rush. Cuala have it back. Is that David Tracy? Yes, it is. Now helping him out there is Colm Cronin. Mark Shute. Mark Shute sends it over. His first of the second half, his third of the game. And, well, it's hard to see Cuala lose it from here.
Yeah, the experience of Mark Shute, even David Tracy as well. It's those experienced players that are really stepping up in this game. Mikey Conroy obviously shutting down Sean Baxter in the second half has also been crucial. But it does feel like it's game over at this stage. At the same time, I wonder, is there a temptation to throw Liam Rush up the field just for the last minute or two before the end of injury time?
Well, scoring difference could be important at the end of the group when it's all totted up. So you not losing by much could be, in rugby parlance, and I know how much you love rugby, Shane, it could be like a bonus point.
Yeah, I know it is true though. And maybe that's the reason you don't take him out of centre back.
Yeah, that's true. Launched forward by Emmett Murphy.
Yeah, great ball in.
Good ball to Liam Murphy. Liam Murphy tries to turn, tries to twist. He has the free. He's frustrated because he got his shot away and it looked like it went over anyway, but it will be a free to Cuala.
Well, Liam Murphy has really grown in confidence as this game has gone on. Once or twice in the first half, little moments didn't happen for him, but he's got a couple of scores on board at this stage. I think he has maybe 1-2, 1-3
Yep,
from
that's correct.
play.
1-2, yeah.
1-2 from play, and he's set up a couple of scores. He's obviously won a free here as well, so he's growing into this game. Seems to have a bit of cramp now, and expect David Tracy to throw this over, and that'll be pretty much the game in the book. But the likes of Niall Carty, he's come on and made a bit of an impact. Emmett Murphy's done a couple of good things as well. But as I said, Na Fianna have had to dig so deep into their panel, makes it very, very difficult to stay competitive over the 70 minutes, and maybe they've fallen off in the last 15 minutes or so.
Tracy, it would be an unassailable lead for Cuala. I think it's fair to say even if he misses, they'd still have that anyway. 27 plays 21.
And 125 is good shoot. You know, maybe a little disappointment would be to not create a few more goal scoring opportunities, but I think when you put up what translates to 28 points, you'll win an awful lot of games.
Burke can't get there. That might be that for Na Fianna. No, we will play on. Darragh O'Connell. I'm sure an interested spectator last weekend for the Kerry hurling final. Didn't get to watch it yet, but it's on the to-do list.
Yeah, great win for Causeway.
Quilty's waiting for it, and it just runs out of play. And that's it. Cuala get the victory, 125 to 215.
Well, look, it's the group stages, and Cuala didn't have an unbelievably convincing performance against Plunkett, who I suppose with their win over St. Jude's this evening are showing that they're made of some decent stuff too. But as this game went on, Cuala very much took over and had a stranglehold for the last 15 minutes or more. Sean Moran is to come back. Con O'Callaghan's to come back. All of a sudden things are looking a little bit positive for Cuala, so they can very much go forward into the last couple of group games feeling happy about themselves.
For Na Fianna, they were missing players as well, and the Currys weren't there today. Paul O'D went off injured. Shane Barrett. Those are all big losses, and that counts for something when you lose players like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we've said it a couple of times at this stage. Of the team that started the county final against Crokes last year and should have won the game, only 8 players again started today, and only 2 more were on the bench. So it just tells you that there's a big turnover. And then when you're adding in all those injuries in on top of it, that makes it very, very difficult. Because the deeper, like, it's one thing in a county panel, you dig deep into the panel and you still have one of the 30 best players, you know, among a county of tens of thousands of people. Whereas here you might have a smaller parish, you dig deep into that panel, into that second team, it's not going to be quite the same. And when they're coming up against players like Colm Crone and Mark Schutte, you know, David Tracy and so on, it's going to be difficult over 70 or 60 minutes. But I still think they have plenty to build on here. They have a win in the bag already against St. Jude's. They'll fancy themselves against Plunkett. They'll have a match against Ballyboden. And I'd expect them to still be in the knockout stages. If they have everyone right, they're not out of this at all.
Well, let's have a look at some of the highlights of the second half. Cuala getting the water on board. Na Fianna getting a point on board there through Donald Burke. Emmett Murphy came off the bench. Not afraid to take defenders on, is he?
Yeah, he was being positive. Look, he should have taken the point, but I like the fact that he's being positive and going at his man. Because any team needs that.
Yep, David Tracy slotting over another score there. He scored from frees in the second half. By my reckoning, 9, 4 in the first half and 2 from play. 14 points. Not bad from David Tracy.
And I can't think of him missing one.
No. Mark Schutte, who scored 3 points from play and was instrumental in the goal. Murphy.
That was a great hook there
Yeah,
from
it was great.
Conor McHugh, maybe.
Yeah, great bit of defending. And Kelly threw himself at it as well.
And again, you see Crone in that work. He's very, very good at holding players up. I know it from his training matches over the years. He's hugely frustrating if you run into him. He's just so good at doing that.
And Kelly was involved there as well, and he was unlucky that he went off injured. Here's Schutte. Good save. Liam Murphy first to react. Goal.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just the way it pans out. You couldn't blame Hugh Fenlon there for not getting there. He was obviously probably trying to get to Mark Schutte in the first place, and then the ball breaks to Liam Murphy, and brilliant finish there, whipped on the ball, lovely.
We're still waiting for a confirmed full time, by the way, from the other game, so we'll watch these highlights as we wait.
Yeah, nice score there from Niall Carty. He's done that plenty of times over the years. And what a difference it makes when you've just got a very reliable free taker. I mean, obviously Donald Burke's a brilliant free taker too, but from both play and from a couple of frees in the first half, didn't quite happen for him. And you need every score to go over, especially if you're down a couple of players.
Cian O'Callaghan. Fair to say he did a bit of a stormer at full back. Here's Mark Schutte, who worked incredibly hard at full forward.
He did well. It was important now to just make sure he man-marked Donald Burke in that second half. Whether he was in the field or out the field, you just need to have your go-to man-marker on the go-to player on the other side. You see on the screen there on the right-hand side, Conor O'Callaghan going around shaking hands with a few of the players. Hopefully he's not too far away from a Cuala point of view, because, you know, it's a bit of a game changer when you have him in there, and no more than, you know, at the other end of things for Na Fianna having all their key players back. But yeah, Johnny Toomey chatting to the boys there. And
what's said in those huddles at the end of a game?
Get yourselves right, lads. You know, I mean,
okay.
This is only a starting point. There's no need to get carried away with this result. We've things to work on. That sort of a thing. We'll get right. We'll go for food and a few drinks tonight. Something like that.
Yeah. Okay, well, Cuala get the win here against Na Fianna. Na Fianna were missing players, Cuala were missing players. Na Fianna lost a few players to injury throughout the game, including Sean Ryan and Kelly, the cornerback, who was playing quite well. Of course, they were missing the Currys today. So it's not a disaster for Na Fianna to lose this game. And in the group format, they can recover from it. We're still waiting for a full time from the other game. When last we heard, Plunketts were cruising against St. Jude's, but hurling being the game it is, that could have been turned around very quickly. So I don't want to commit to saying that Plunketts won when they didn't. But let's just take a look at the table, or run through the table and tell you what way it would look if Plunketts won.
Yeah.
Now, I could be made a fool of here if Jude's have made a bit of a comeback, but Cuala are now on top on 6 points. Na Fianna remain on 4 points, and Plunketts would go to 2 points. Jude's would remain on no points. Ballyboden St. Enda's on 4 points. So Ballyboden would be in second position. It just depends on scoring.
I think Cuala are actually that table that's on the Dublin GA site has the bye. There's a bye team in there because it's two groups of 5. I think Cuala are actually on 4 points at this stage, 2 wins from 2.
Okay.
Okay,
well, the table will be clarified on the Dublin GA website in the next couple of hours, and you'll be able to find out the scores from the other games as well going on across the weekend, not just in senior grade but also in intermediate, junior, etc. Still waiting for a scoreline from that game in O'Toole Park. Plunketts taking on St. Jude's. We haven't got a final score from that game, but as I say, when last we heard, Plunketts were on top. We have a break from hurling now over the next couple of weeks for football to come in next weekend. What do the hurling teams do in this break? How hard do you work? Do you work incredibly hard this week and then settle down next week? Or what way does it work?
Well, I'd say what's most likely going to happen is whenever they're back out training again, which I presume will be Tuesday, there'll be a recovery session tomorrow. A few of the boys will meet up and they'll probably go down to the sea or something like that, maybe do a very light gym session just to get the legs moving again. But I'd imagine on Tuesday, anyone who played a huge part in this game, maybe 40 minutes or any more, they'll be doing a minimal amount of stuff, just a bit of hurling work, a few ball drills. Anyone who didn't play that much, they'll probably be put through the ringer a small bit, doing some heavy runs or some small condition games. Then get back to training normally on Thursday, maybe an A versus B game at the weekend, and then sort of slowly taper down a little bit before you play your next match again. So I'd imagine that's how it will go for all teams.
Okay, the final score, Plunketts 219, St. Jude's 15 points. That game going on in O'Toole Park. So that is a confirmed full-time. A big win for Plunketts, who beat St. Jude's 219 to 15 points. That's it from us here in Parnell Park in the sunshine, where we've seen 2 tight games that were neck and neck up until about 55 minutes, and then one team just got away from the other. But they are worth watching back if you only caught the end of them. St. Vincent's earlier on getting the victory in that game against Crave Kieran, pulling away in the end, but Crave Kieran gave it quite the fight. You can watch that game back in full on Dubs TV, and you can watch this game back as well. Cuala overcoming Na Fianna by 125 to 215. We're back with football live and free on Dubs TV next weekend. Keep an eye out on the social media channels for confirmation on what fixtures we will be showing. Remember, you can join the conversation for hurling on hashtag GoAheadDSH1. That's the hashtag for all the usual social media channels. And if you want to talk football, you can do so via the hashtag GoAheadDSF1. Shane Stapleton, how did you enjoy your first weekend of co-commentary?
Really enjoyed it. Good fun now, just to have this high gantry position, and having soldiered with plenty of these lads before, to be commenting about them now. I'm sure there'll be plenty repeated on the WhatsApp group later on. But it's great old fun. 2 really good games, 2 tight games. As you said, both victors pulled away at the end, but enjoyable.
And you don't care about popularity, so you weren't afraid to sew it in. That's what I like about it.
Well, I had to call it as I saw it, and once or twice I thought Cuala lads fouled, so I said it, or they missed chances they shouldn't have. So you have to call it.
And you know yourself, when you're up here, and I know this from never really being down there in a game that mattered in any way, shape or form, You're never wrong when you're up here. You'd have made every shot, you'd have scored every goal, you'd never make a mistake. Whereas down there it's something different, and you know that better than anyone.
Oh, I do. Sure, about 5 years ago here, I scored a point. Now, to be fair, the goal was
Was that the one where you were about 3 metres out and no one in front of you?
Yeah, and you said, oh, he'll be disappointed with that. I was delighted I actually got over the bar rather than missing a goal, because I definitely would have missed it.
I actually should have said he'll be delighted to have kept that one on target. Shane, thank you very much. We can catch up with your work on ourgame.ie. No doubt you'll be talking about this and all the club championship action around the country. Hurling and football didn't end in July. It didn't end with the All-Ireland finals. It goes on, and it's the best of action in the club championship, and you can watch more of it on Dubs TV. Next weekend you can watch back all the games that we've shown so far via Dubs TV. Shane, thank you. Thanks to the team who put it all together. We're back next weekend. Keep an eye on the Dublin GA social media channels for the scores of all of the games across the weekend, and also what's coming up next weekend. For now, I will say enjoy the sunshine, good night and good luck.